StraighTAllDay.com.
Tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you're expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is what? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why you need to focus on making money. Now, some of you might already be focused on making money. We're going to talk about it anyway, and some of you are not. And I'm going to drive this point home to help you understand why this is a good thing, whether you're doing it or not, whether you think it's a good idea or not. Maybe you feel guilty about it for whatever reason. We're going to get into that all here today. But before we get started, let me remind or inform you that I send out a text message every morning that is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. So I know you want to get this text. So let me tell you what it's called. Let me tell you how to get it. I call it the Daily Motivation. And the way that you get it is just by texting me right now so that you can be part of my texting community. Just send a text to the following number: 305-384-6894. Every morning when the Daily Motivation text comes out, as a member of my texting community, you'll be getting that text free of charge. I mean, normal text message rates apply with your phone company, but free of charge, straight from me, every single morning. And that's all you got to do. All you got to do is just text me at that number. It's listed down below in the description, by the way, if you didn't type it in while I was saying it. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where you work with me directly. That's the only place that I offer coaching. It's the only place where I offer a direct mentoring. It's the only place where you'll be able to share your challenges, ask me questions, and get answers directly from me. I mean, directly from me. So this is not you get passed off to somebody on my team. As of today, as of this recording, when you're listening to this, because I'm recording this probably weeks before you hear it, but as of right now, if you can hear this, I am a person you can work with directly. The only way you can do it is by being a member of Work on Your Game University. So if you want to work with me directly, you must be a member of Work on Your Game University. You join by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link to that, along with the link to get into my text message community or the number to get there, are both down below in the description of this video. So with all that said, let's get into the topic here today, which is why you need to focus on making money. Now, again, some of you may already be focused on making money. Some of you may not be. Some of you may want to be, but you feel a little bit guilty about it. Maybe you feel a little bit sheepish about it. Maybe you're looking around at the people around you or the people you grew up around and they're not focused on making money, or maybe you were taught for whatever reason that being focused on making money is somehow selfish, or it's something sacrilegious or evil or negative about it. We're gonna at least get to work on getting that mental trash out of your mind so you can actually focus on making money, because this is the most important thing you're going to need, especially if you plan on becoming an entrepreneur. And even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, you still need to be focused on making money, because listen, we all got to eat. We all got bills. We all need food, clothing, shelter. But I'm going to give you even stronger reasons than that as we get into this episode. So let me first of all tell you a story. First of all, I was looking to get a couple of suits worked on. I had some suits that I needed to get some work done on, like some reinforcements made. So it was one suit where some of the hem at the cuff of the pants needed to be reinforced. I needed to get it re-sewed. And then there was another one, that suit I probably had, there's another suit that I had, like the longest of all the suits that I've had, and the material was kind of thin in the suit. It's a nice suit, but the material was kind of thin, so it was starting to wear down at certain points, and I needed to take it to an alterations place or a seamstress or somebody who could fix it up and kind of get it back in the shape that it needed to be, because if I couldn't, then I probably couldn't wear that suit anymore. And I remember that day when I was driving to different places in Miami looking for people who could fix it. I knew one place I knew could fix one thing. There's another thing that I wasn't sure who could do it, but I was willing to go to wherever somebody could fix it, and I was willing to pay whatever they were going to charge. I knew within reason I'd be able to pay it, or I was willing to pay it. And I wasn't worried about how much it would cost to get these suits repaired, because whatever amount it would be less than what I had paid for the suit. So I was willing to pay for it. So, or I would have to get rid of that suit and get another one. And while I was in the process of looking for these places to do the work, this thought came to my mind of what led to today's episode. Like, if I didn't have the money, if I couldn't afford to get these suits repaired and fixed the way that I wanted to, what would I do? I would either have to be wearing some suits that were falling apart, or I'd have to spend some money that I might need for something else, for like food, clothing, shelter, well, this is clothing technically, but let's say food and shelter or more essential clothing, I had to spend that money that I had earmarked for something else on getting my clothes fixed. And I wouldn't like to have had to make that choice. I didn't want to have to be in a position where I had to make that choice. Which led me to what we're talking about here today. In other words, what we're talking about here today is why you want to focus on making money such that whenever there is a need, when something comes up that you need to take care of financially, you're not in a state of anxiety, worry, fear, being unable to take care of things, whatever it may be, whether you're getting a suit repaired, whether there's an emergency bill that needs to be paid, whether something just happens to pop up in your life. And we all know that in life, stuff pops up all the time, especially those of you who are heads of households, heads of families, male and female. We all know that there are times stuff pops up and we just have to take care of it, right? And usually when we have money, we can take care of stuff. And when we don't have money, it's hard to take care of stuff. Can we all agree with that? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about here today, and why a focus on money is not a bad thing. Because many of you have been taught, whether you were taught it just socially by the adults around you growing up, whether you were taught it by your friends and the people in the community you were around, whether you were taught it in your religious areas of worship, maybe you were taught it religiously, maybe you were taught it just by whatever media and material you have consumed over the years, or that's pretty much the only ways you could be taught these things, that somehow focusing on money was somewhat negative or extremely negative, or you don't have to focus on money all the time. Everything's not all about money. Life ain't all about money. Some of you have been taught these negative things, usually by your parents, usually by people who have poor money mindsets. And I've done whole episodes where I talk about money mindset. And as a matter of fact, we do some very deep training inside of Work on Your Game University about money mindset. So if any of you been looking at Work on Your Game University and thinking about it and thinking might want to join, I don't know, and you've been looking for you just need that one real reason to come join Work on Your Game University, let this be it. All right, money mindset, we go deep into money mindset, because your way of thinking about money determines how much of it you end up having, whether you are able to accumulate and grow it, whether you're able to keep it, or if it just seems to always be escaping and running away from you. Any of you ever had that feeling? Money was just running away from you. No matter where you went, it would just go find somewhere else to be besides where you were. All right, if that's happening to you in your life, it's not because you're lacking skills, not because you don't have game and ability. It's usually because your mindset around money is rejecting, it is repelling the money. And when money is repelled from you, it makes all of life a whole lot harder. Can we all agree? Okay, so I talked about healthy money mindsets in episode number 23, 21, and I also talked about how your poor money mindset is keeping you broke in episode number 22, 14. So if you haven't listened to those two episodes, they are linked down below in the description. You also, if they're not, go to workonyourgamepodcast.com, where you can listen to every episode ever in the history of this show. And as you can see, we got a lot. Point number one. Topic once again is why you need to focus on making money and do so unapologetically. Number one, money equals freedom and options. This is the number one reason why you need to focus on making money. When you have money, you have freedom and you have options. This means you can do what you want to do and live how you want to live, which to me is the definition of success. Not money being the definition of success, but having the freedom to do what you want to do and the option of living how you choose to live, which can be different for all of us. Some people want to live in the middle of, you want to be in the mix. You want to be in the middle of Manhattan, where everybody is, and there's a million people per square foot, and you just want to be in a mix of everything. Some of you want to live out in the woods where you could go outside and scream at the top of your lungs and there's not another human being who will even hear you because there's no one else around. Some of you want to live on the beach every day and live that beach life, that sand and beach life. Some of you want to be somewhere in between all of this. Some of you want to have 20 kids and a big family and everybody's all over your house all the time. That's the way you want to live. Either way, it doesn't matter which way you want to live. You want the freedom and the options to choose as you wish, not to be restricted to having to do what you can, but doing what you want. Can we agree? Does everybody agree with that? Anybody disagree with this? Money gives you freedom and options to choose as you wish. When you don't have financial resources, then you don't get to choose. You pretty much kind of get whatever you got, or whatever gets handed to you. So to use myself as an example, I live in Miami, Florida, but I'm not from here. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's where I was born and raised. Moved to Miami when I was in my 20s. Now, I like to visit Philadelphia at least once a year, usually in the summertime, because I don't like really doing winter stuff. If you see me traveling somewhere that there's wintry weather, like cold and snow, if you see me in a place like that ever, one of two things that happen. Either A, somebody paid me a lot of money, or B, somebody died. All right, and there are very few people who could die that I'm traveling to somewhere cold for your funeral. I'm not joking. I'll send a card, I'll maybe send some money or something like that, make a couple phone calls with a few people I'll travel, they die. There's a few, not a whole lot, but a few. But other than that, somebody paid me some money. The whole point is, I like to visit Philadelphia in the summertime. So this summer, for example, I might visit more than once because there's a couple different things that I want to go to Philadelphia for. Now, my parents still live in Philadelphia, and they want to visit Miami because they want to come to Miami for the vacation aspect of it. Miami is a vacation destination, and they also want to see their grandchild, my son. Now, I want to have the freedom and the option to do all of those. If I'm going to go to Philadelphia 2 or 3 times, I want the option to do so. And if my parents want to come down here 2 or 3 times, I want the option to do that too. And I'll take care of it. I'll pay for it. And the only way you can do any of that is you got to have the finances to pay for it. I mean, simple as that. I remember going to Philadelphia a few years ago, 2017 or 2018. And I got a hotel off one of those apps, kind of like Hotel Tonight or Hotels.com. I don't know which app it was. But whatever app it was, I know I deleted that app off my phone and said I'm never getting a hotel from this app ever again. It's one of those apps where you get the hotel and you pay, but they don't tell you what the hotel is until after you pay it. You know what I'm talking about? But they say it's like a number of stars hotel. And I paid up front, I got a pretty good deal. And the hotel ended up being a complete piece of shit. And it's one of those, because you paid up front and it didn't tell you what the hotel is, you can't really get a refund or any of that. And I was mad as hell at myself the whole time we were there, because we were there for like 4 or 5 days. And I'm still mad at myself to this very day for booking that cheap ass hotel and doing that the way that I did it. And I told myself I would never do that again. And I made that decision because I was trying to save money. I did it because I'm like, all right, this is a good price and it looks like it'll be a good enough hotel. I was making a decision based on money instead of making a decision based on value, which is a very, very bad idea. All right, this was some mind trash that I need to get rid of. And again, I told you that was 2017, 2018. I think I've cleared that mind trash out. So this is part of my exercising those demons by even talking about it here on this show here today. Instead of knowing what would have made for a more enjoyable trip, I was thinking about dollars and cents. Still had a good time on the trip, but I hated that hotel. The whole point is, when you have finances, you don't have to make these kind of decisions. You're not looking at things like this. You're not looking at everything by dollars and cents. You're looking at it by, all right, what gives me the value and enjoyability and the experience that I want, not what saves me the most dollars. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why you need to focus on making money. And the whole thing about what I just shared there in point number 1 is when you focus on making money, then you don't have to make these kind of decisions. You can make value-based decisions instead of price-based decisions. And there's a big difference between price and value. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And when you're focused on price, you're just focused on, okay, where can I shave a couple of dollars off of what has to come out of my pocket? Whereas value is, where can I get the most bang for my buck? See, you can spend a lot more money and get more value out of something where you could be, when you're focused on value, you'll spend a lot more money because you're getting what you want. Whereas when you're focused on price, you will lose out on the thing that you really want because you're just focused on the whatever's on that price tag, whatever's on that sticker, whatever the number is that you would have to outweigh. And when you're making the kind of money that you want to make, hopefully even more than you want to make, and you have financially, you're in a position where you have maybe even a surplus of what you need, then you can make value decisions. And I think all of us, I don't care what you're focused on, know how you want to live, how many people you're responsible for, if any, I think all of us would rather make value decisions than price decisions. Can we agree? All right, so now point number 2. Making value decisions instead of financial decisions. Actually, I just said this, so I'm predicting what I'm going to say. I know my own mind, I guess we can say here. So the topic again today is why you need to focus on making money. Second reason is making value decisions instead of financial/price decisions. When you have all the money that you want, you make decisions based on what you value instead of what you can afford, or you're not making decisions based on price at all. You're making decisions based on what you want. So this goes back to the short anecdote I told you at the top of this episode. I knew I needed to get some alterations done to my suit. It didn't really matter to me how much it was going to cost, because I figured at the most that this could possibly cost is not more than what I paid for the suit. I know what I paid for the suit. If I needed to pay that much, well, I'll just buy another suit, which I could do. So I knew whatever it was, I'm going to be willing to pay for it. And the whole point is I was making a value decision. I just want to save this suit. It's still a perfectly good suit. Just this one little piece here needs to be fixed. And that is a value decision. It's not a price decision. It's not, all right, I'll do this only if it costs $25 or less. If it's more than $25, then I won't do anything. That's a price decision. A value decision is, I know I want to, value decision is like when you go to somebody and say, look, I know I want to work with you. And as long as it is within this range, I'm buying it. So tell me the price. That's a value decision. Again, and notice the way that I said that. Value decision does not mean you just recklessly spend money just because you can. It's within reason, and you set whatever within reason means. As long as it's within this range, I'm willing to pay for it. So if I have a suit that I paid $800 for, and I need to get an alteration for it, I say, okay, as long as the alteration is up to half the price of what I paid for the suit, I'll do it. So if the alteration is $400 or less, I'll do it, because I want to save the suit. Now, if it's more than $400, then I might just go buy another suit. I might just buy a new version of the same suit. Might as well. I already got years worth of value out of it. I might as well buy a new one. But as long as it's within that range, I'm willing to do it. There was a guy I heard talking. He was saying he was at a conference, and he was I think he might have spoke at the conference, but he was also a attendee at a conference. He heard some guy talking about some business venture that the guy was doing, and the attendee man who was telling the story, he said, I heard you speaking on the stage. He's talking about the guy he ended up working with. So I heard you speaking on the stage. I said, whatever this guy's offering, I need it. Whatever he's talking about, I know I need it. So if it costs anything, if it costs $150,000 or less, I'm signing up for his program. And the guy's program was less than $150,000. He signed up for the guy's program. That's a value decision. That's the point that I'm making here. And I think all of us, again, any of you can correct me if I'm wrong, all of us would like to make all of our decisions in life based on value, not on price. And again, value decision does not mean you just throw money around just because you have it. All right, that's reckless. You don't want to do that. This is how a lot of people, this is how somebody can make a whole lot of income but go broke, because they recklessly spend their money. They don't have any parameters by which they make their decisions. But we all want to make decisions based on value, not based on, well, this is what I can afford, so I'm getting something that's less than what I actually want. We don't want to make those decisions too often. I think we all, not all of us, depending on how you start in life, depending on where you come from, how you were set up, many of us we start off at least, and for some times and at different times in life had to make decisions in this way because that's the situation that we're in. But we don't want to stay there, right? Again, anybody disagree with me, you can let me know. This is not only a point of how much money you have, but also is a point of your mindset around money. And this is an important thing that I want you all to get. This is not just about how much you got, because you can have money and still think like a broke person and live like a broke person or a poor person, really, when it comes to your mindset around money. I know people who make money, but they still make decisions as if they're poor and broke, and they actually lessen the experience and the enjoyment of what they get because they have a poor money mindset, so they're not willing to part with any money. They're not willing to part with money to do anything. So they do everything as if they're on some very small budget, which there's an argument you can make for it. Like, hey, I just want to save money. I want to be a saver. You never know, a rainy day, I got to make sure I got some money aside for maybe my kids, my family, who knows what might pop up. Something might go wrong with my car. There might be a flood. I might have to get the pipes fixed in my house. There are plenty of justifications you can make for this, but it's all rooted in a poor money mindset. And I heard a salesperson once say the only time people are hesitant to part with money is because they don't believe in their ability to go make more of it. And which is a great thing to say to us, a great thing for a salesperson to say when you're trying to close a sale. So any of y'all I gave you that one for free. You can use that. But the whole point is, if we don't, and this is why it's about your mindset around money, because usually the only anxiety we have around spending money is our projection of the future. If you really think about it, if I don't want to spend money today, but I have it, I got the money, but I don't want to spend it. Why? It's because for some reason I'm thinking that something bad is going to happen in the future. I'm going to need this money, or I'm concerned about my ability to replace this money, so I don't want to spend it right now. But if I don't have that concern, well, I'll spend this money now because I'll make it back. I ain't worried about it. I'll make this money back. I'll make more than this money back. I'll spend $25 now because I'm going to make $300 today. So I don't have a problem with it, if that's my mindset around money. I'm not saying you have to have this mentality. I'm just giving you this as an example. So if we don't project ourselves as making more money in the future, for example, then we're nervous about spending money in the present because you're like, all right, I'll never get this money back again. That's a scarcity mindset. I don't want to spend this $100 because I'm not sure I'll be able to replace this $100. That's a mindset of scarcity. The scarcity is not with the money that exists in the world, but the scarcity is your ability to replace it. I don't want to spend $100 because I might not make $100 back. All right, so you're holding on to that $100. Just having money alone, folks, does not necessarily mean that you make value decisions with your money. As I just said, I know people who make plenty of money, much more than minimum wage. Like the average American salary is about $47,000 a year. $47,000 a year is the average amount of money that's the amount that the average person earns in the United States of America. I know people who make more than double that. People who make six figures and above, yet are still cheap because they have cheap and poor mindsets around money. So they make their buying decisions based on a person who's making 40 grand a year, even though they're making 100. I ain't saying that they're wrong. I'm just pointing it out. So this is a combination of not only having money, so what I'm talking about, not only having financial resources, but also having a healthy mindset about your financial resources. Because you can have financial resources and a poor mindset, and you could also have a healthy mindset around money, but no money. So you want to have both. So you want to have both of these at the same time. And then at that point, you can start making value decisions instead of price decisions. So I know people, as I said, who make double, triple, quadruple that amount. People who make $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year, but still have poor mindsets around money. And it usually goes back to how we were raised and who taught us about money, which is usually our parents or the adults around us when we were growing up. And as a result, again, if you have a poor money mindset, usually you're making price decisions, not value decisions. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why you should focus on making money. Number 3, when you focus on making money and you are successful at it, you get to live a life free from worry and anxiety about what might happen to you and your ability to deal with it. Financially, that is. Let me say that again. When you focus on making money and you do so successfully, you can live a life free from worry and anxiety about what might happen to you and your ability to deal with it. See, if you have financial resources, that does not mean it solves all of your problems. I mean, there's a song called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And there are people who have money, whatever you think having money means, there are people who have money who still have problems. Not a single person on this planet you can find who doesn't have problems and challenges, no matter how much money they have. So there are challenges that cannot be solved with money. But as the saying goes, all right, money doesn't solve all my problems, but at least when I have money, I can pull up in a Rolls Royce to deal with those problems. All right, I can sleep on a bed of money and cry about my problems. All right, as the tongue-in-cheek cliches go. If you heard me tell the story about when my son was born, if you haven't, let me give you that episode where I talked about the trashy medical system in the United States of America. And that was in episode 2338. No disrespect to anyone who works in the medical system. I know I have some medical system folks who are not only listeners of the show, but also members of Work on Your Game University. You all work in the system. You didn't create the system, so I ain't mad at you. It's just a system. It's just like I got family members who are teachers, but the education system is trash, and it is trash. If you heard me tell the story about when my son was born, I wasn't worried about pissing off or getting into any type of altercation with anyone inside of the neonatal intensive care unit at Jackson Hospital in Miami. Why? Why wasn't I worried about it? I wasn't worried about it because I knew that if I needed to cuss somebody out, which I did, or if I needed to smack the shit out of somebody who worked at the hospital, which I did not, but I was willing to and capable of if I needed to. If I needed to do that to defend my son, who had just been born that day, and over what I wanted to happen or not happen with him, I know I could pay a lawyer to defend myself in court. I wasn't worried about it. Now, if I did not have that, let's say, stability of mind, for lack of a better term, maybe I would have allowed them to do some things that I didn't want them to do because I was too worried about what would happen if I tried to push back and they pushed back. If push came to shove, how far was I willing to go? I was willing to go as far as it took because I knew I could take care of whatever the situation, whatever it ended up being, I knew I could take care of it. And that's the way I was looking. I already knew that. I wasn't thinking that consciously, but unconsciously I understood it. And I had that kind of posture. And because I had that posture, when I said what I wanted to say and I put my foot down in that situation, those people who worked there acquiesced to what I told them I wanted. And it didn't go as smoothly as I'm saying it right now, but it went the way I said it was going to go. And I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you. When you know that you can take care of anything no matter how it goes, usually things go the way you want them to go, and they don't have to go as far as you're willing to go. When you're willing to go further than whoever you're dealing with, usually you don't have to go further because they can sense that in you and they will back down and fall in line with what you want. This is usually how it happens in life, folks. See, the person who is not willing to fight is the one who gets punched in the face because people sense that you don't want to fight. So they'll take advantage of your weakness and they'll use it against you. But the person who is willing to fight, you know what's interesting? Paradoxically, you usually don't have to fight. Because the people that you're dealing with realize that you're willing to fight, they don't want to risk it. So they'll leave you alone and give you what you want. This is how it works in life, folks. This is energy. So when I talk about posture, when I talk about be, do, and have, this is the being part. You can read this in another person, and people can read it in you. Whether you have it or you don't have it, people can read it in you. No matter how hard you try to, if you try to hide it, people can read it in you when you're willing to, how far you're willing to go. So I want you to really think about this when it comes to the being part. And I talk about this a lot in my book, The Mirror of Motivation. If you haven't read that book, you can get it for free by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. Book's free, just cover the shipping. Again, mirrorofmotivation.com. Now, I'm not here saying to you that I walk around with this energy like I'm looking for some kind of altercation with people. I don't, because if I walked around with that energy, I would get into a lot of altercations. And I don't get into altercations. And the reason I don't is because I'm willing to get in. And I'm capable of dealing with them if I do get in one. So usually I don't have to. This is how it works, folks. I'm not worried about it if I end up in such a space. See, when you're not worried about things and you're not driven by anxiety or fear, you carry yourself a different way. And when you do have worry, anxiety, and fear, you carry yourself a different way. And people notice it in you, they sense your energy, and they respond to you in kind because you're presenting yourself in that way. While there are ways of, again, adopting this posture, even if you don't have, we're talking about money here today. Purpose of this episode is to compel you to focus on making more money and having more money in your life so that this is based on something real, not something that's assumed. Everybody following what I'm saying here? And in Work on Your Game University, we will help you with this. This is what I help do. I help people make money. This is what I help people do in business. Help people make money. Now, how we do that is we go through things like mindset, strategy, systems, and execution, because it's not usually not just as cut and dried as money. Many people think that it is, but usually it's not. Usually it's some other stuff we got to get through in order to get to the part of making the money. But the outcome is we help people make money. That's what we do in Work on Your Game University. So with all that said, let me recap today's class, and then I'll tell you about the university in a moment. Topic here today is why you need to focus on making money. I was getting 2 different suits worked on. I was not concerned about what it would cost to get them done. I got to thinking to myself randomly while I was in the process of doing this, what if I couldn't afford to do this? What would I do? Now I either have to wear these beat up suits or that are falling apart, or I would have to use money that I meant for something else for this, but I didn't need to make that decision, fortunately. And it's because of these points I'm sharing with you here today. Point number 1, money equals freedom and options. All right, money gives you the freedom to live how you want to live and options to do whatever it is that you want to do, which is how I define success, living how you want to live, not by anybody else's standard. Number 2, making value decisions instead of financial decisions. A value decision is about getting what you want regardless of what it costs, whereas a financial decision is about how much does it cost and how much am I willing or able to spend. And this is more about your mindset around money than it is about how much money you actually have. Ideally, you want to have the money and a healthy money mindset, because I know people who have money, but they still have poor and cheap money mindsets. So even though they have money, they're cheap. They don't tip. They don't stay in nicer places. They are basically counting dollars. They're counting their pennies with every single thing they do, even though they could comfortably afford to spend more money. These people are usually not, it's not pleasant to do things with them because they don't want to spend any money. And you want to spend money, so they balk at spending money at the things you want to spend money at. Well, how are you two going to engage because they don't want to spend any money? And you're not paying for their shit because they got the money. So what do? Point number 3, and any of you has been in these situations, you probably know what I'm talking about. Number 3, living a life free from worry and anxiety about what might happen to you and your ability to deal with it. Now, there are many other ways in life to deal with things besides just throwing money at it, but I think all of you understand where I'm coming from in this. When you know that financially you can pretty much deal with anything, then you carry yourself a different way, you talk a different way, you respond differently to things that are happening to you, and you make different decisions. And if you know that you're taken care of in one space, you carry yourself with such an energy that moves other people and obstacles out of your way. And that energy matters a lot. It's worth something to all of us. And this is why you want to get your money in the space that you want it to be in, so you don't ever have to worry about making decisions based on, okay, what can I deal with, what can I not deal with, but rather, what do I want and what do I not want? With all that said, text me. Let me know you want the daily motivation. I send it out every day for free. Also, text me and tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And Work on Your Game University. We coach people on, first of all, the foundation, which is the mindset. Secondly, the strategy. That's the game plan. Third, the systems. That is the process that allows you to operate the game plan over and over and over again like clockwork. And lastly, accountability. How do we make sure that you stay on point, stay focused, stay executing the way you're supposed to? All that happens inside the university. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. It's the only place to work with me directly. Work on your game. Dre all day.